Hello, everyone. Welcome to the AuthorHood podcast. Hope things are beautiful at everyone's end. Dr. Rekha Nair, author of the book The Doer, is gracing our show today. Hello, ma'am. Thank you very much for considering our invite.
Hello, thank you for having me here.
It's a pleasure having you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So, how would you best introduce yourself to the listeners?
Okay. Hello, everyone. I am Rekha Nair. I am here today to talk about my book, The Doer. I am also a pharmacist by profession and a seeker by nature.
Beautiful. That is some nice introduction. Seeker by nature. Beautiful.
Thank you.
Is this your first time with pen and paper?
Yes.
Okay, so you're very new to the author world, yes?
Yes, very
Okay.
much.
Okay. What is your latest work about?
Okay. So this book is my spiritual quest. I've always had these questions that are mentioned in the book and how I learned through my experiences and found some of the answers. So this book is a lot of those questions and answers and a little bit of my own experience summed up into a book.
Okay, why exactly the title The Doer? You say you're a seeker, yes? And
Yes.
you have been looking for some answers and you say that you have got some already. So why the title
Right.
The Doer?
Because for those who read the book and understood, this book is not about me, but it's about the one who's doing. The book starts with the question of who is doing the work and all these
Okay.
questions that follows, and ultimately who is doing the work, the higher, the supreme, or the one we call God, or so many different names and so many different faiths. So this book is about that entity, or whatever you want to call it. So I couldn't find a better name than The Doer, because my question was who is doing everything. Yes.
But the best title then. Yes, The Doer, the one who was doing.
So thank you.
Yes. So, what all work did you have to do to be able to write this book, and what all do you have to go through?
Well, to begin with, I've always done journaling from a very young age. It's always been
Okay.
my tool to, but, it always wasn't necessarily spiritual questions in the beginning, but I always did journaling. But when I started spiritual journaling was a couple of years ago. I used to have these thoughts that would come to me, and at some point I figured I should write them down. And my friend had gifted me this very cute little pocketbook, and he had mentioned to start journaling your thoughts. He just meant it as a joke, but then it stayed with me, and I started writing few quotes here and there that came to me. And strangely, the year that I was expecting my baby, I worked few months before I went on my maternity, and the few months that I worked, I happened to be abroad. And when you're abroad, you're by yourself, you have a lot of time with you. And that's when it just occurred to me that I want to consolidate a lot of these thoughts. And one thing led to the other, and I finally had a book in my hand. I literally had a manuscript in my hand. And that's when I reached out to a publisher, and then it was a whole together different journey. But this is how it all started.
So basically, it is like it just happened kind of a situation. Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. It's all. I mean, I'm a huge believer of destiny, and all that. So I wouldn't say I had any control over anything that happened. It all happened because it was meant to happen at that point.
It was meant to happen. Exactly. This one statement, sums up everything. Because it was meant to happen, so it is here with us.
Right.
All said. What exactly is a spirituality to you? How well do you think you have understood being spiritual?
Well, I'll answer your second question first. how well I've understood spirituality, I think it's an ongoing process. It's so vast. It's like an ocean. And every time you feel like you've learned something and you feel like this might be it, a new change comes to your life, a new wave comes to your life, and you find yourself with more questions, So I don't think if once you are in a human form, unless you are highly, enlightened yogi or something, which I don't know. I'm not one, so I cannot speak for them, but it's an ongoing process. To answer your first question, what is spirituality to me? To me, this is my answer, to me, it's like a dance going back and forth or sideways or whatever you want to call it, but ultimately trying to fall towards the center. We all have a center. We all have a point or a space within us which is very content and very peaceful, and it's always trying to come back to that point. For me, that journey or that process is spirituality.
This was really a beautiful line that you just said, falling in the center.
Yes,
it's a beautiful thing. I mean, we are just hovering and we are looking for the center. So beautiful.
Right.
You have explained it so beautiful. I'm so pleased with this answer. I mean, very, very impressive it is. Yeah. So did you ever feel that you're struggling with spirituality, or like, is it kind of an impose to you?
No, not really, because spirituality wasn't something that I was told to follow. Like I said, since I'm a believer of destiny and, I'm a strong believer of destiny, I don't believe in anything that's coming my way is not here without a purpose. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like everything that comes my way comes with a purpose. So even if somebody, which didn't happen though, but I'm just giving you an hypothetical scenario, if somebody had told be spiritual of this, I would try to find a purpose in that too. Like, why is this coming to me? What does that mean for me? But saying that, in my story, it wasn't anything imposed. This was my own falls and ups and downs that made me question a lot of things. It's my own experiences that made me curious, and that's how I began the journey. Or probably I always was on the journey, and I started realizing I'm on the journey. Struggles, yes, there are a lot of struggles in spirituality. It's one thing to know spirituality and another thing to stay consistent with it.
Point, yes.
Because there are a lot of dynamics in and around us, a lot of factors that change all the time, and we are humanly only capable of so much adaptation to all these changes. Staying spiritual through and out everything is a big challenge. So there are struggles, but you use tools. There are tools that come your way at the right time. You use them and then you come out of it. That's my mantra.
Because the spirituality is not something that you learn today and you have to follow it for the rest of your life. No, there's something new every day that you have to absorb in your being. So being spiritual is something that will come only when you welcome it with everything it has to bring to you.
Right. Perfect. Yes. Perfectly put.
Since you have written on what spiritually, what it is about being spiritual, so what do you expect with what you have written?
When I was writing, I honestly didn't have much expectations. Because like I said, it was just happening. It was like I was an instrument, but now that it's out there on a personal level, I hope there'll be a lot of resonance, healing, and, hoping that it's a good read. But on a higher level, because it all happened, and I feel a lot like an instrument, and, these are things that came to me without my control. So I strongly believe it has a purpose, and I hope that purpose will be achieved in my lifetime at least. And I get to see what it does, so that'll be nice. That'll be very rewarding.
What I feel personally is that in today's time, people are more spiritual than religious. I hope you'll second my point. Yes?
Yes.
People actually look forward to anything that brings them closer to being spiritual. Because anyway, rather than just
Right.
uh, believing in that age-old, I'd say, norms or practices, people are more inclined to respecting God, respecting universe, respecting
Right.
what's there inside. Yes, exactly. So
Yes,
anyway, they are
absolutely.
going to be drawn to what you have written, to what you have experienced, and only when they read it, they'll be able to know that yes, okay, fine, this is something that has happened to me as well, and yes, I'm on the right path.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't know about the right or the wrong path, but I at least hope they'll feel empathetic. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
it's happening to them, it's happening to me, so
Uh-huh. Exactly. That's mutual. They'll feel it is mutual. It is spiritual.
right. Yes, that's very rightly said.
With that thing said, that what your expectation is with your writing, I would also like to know, how do you want your readers to understand that the work done on self is the work done the best?
Well, everything begins and ends in you. There is nothing but you. Like everything is,
Hmm.
when I open my eyes, I have to open my eyes. And I don't just mean like literally the eyes, but if I am not alive, the world doesn't exist. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? To me, the work done is the only work done on you. So if
Hmm.
you do the work on yourself, that's the work done to the world. And you do work on yourself, the person sitting
Hmm.
next to you benefits from that, the family benefits from that, the society benefits from that, the nation benefits from that. It's there in the Mahabharata. Everything,
Hmm.
the battlefield is within you. So there's no point in wasting your trying to think you need to work on something else outside of you. It is all within you. So I am a big believer of that truth. Everything is an out of you. So where else would you work?
True. Where else would you work? This is some nice question put. Exactly. And one more line that you
Yeah.
just said, that if I open my eyes and I don't see the world alive, what is the meaning of all of it? Only
Yes.
when you are into the moment, when you know that yes, it is for you, you are blessed to have it, the things are existing. Otherwise, they make no sense.
Right.
Talking about spirituality, in today's time, people are mostly taking it as going within or looking within. Is
Okay.
that understanding enough? Like looking within, having a journey that is taking you towards you and looking within oneself, is that enough, or is there something else that needs to be taken care of?
Well, I believe that everybody's journey is very individual, and starting to look within is a good start. You have to start somewhere. And if you find yourself in a spot where you
Hmm.
are looking within, then you need to give yourself a lot of credits. It's a
Hmm.
really positive thing, if you believe in the positives and the negatives. Saying that, it's like I said, it's an
Hmm.
ongoing process. There is never a judgment of if it's enough or not. If that's what's
Hmm.
enough for you at that moment, then that's a really good thing happening to you at that point. But if you're already someone who's progressed quite a bit in that journey, then probably that's not good enough for you at that point. Probably you need to start reflecting a little bit more. You need to start
Hmm.
exercising what you've understood from going with it. So it's all different stages of a process. That's what I believe in. So there's no judgment to where somebody is at. Even if they've started looking within, I think that's a really good and positive thing, which means they are just
Hmm.
going forward in their journey. And as they progress, everybody feels the need to go further than where they're at. It'll happen to everyone. It's happened to a lot of people around me. Some are way ahead of me,
Hmm.
some are a little behind. We all are but marching towards it. So I believe that one should find contentment in whatever stage they're at, and just be open to
Open to
receiving more.
receiving more. Yes. Also, now when we are talking so much about being spiritual, there is one thing that I see.
Yes.
ऐसा भी होता है, when there's a time when people, they feel a little disconnected. Like
Okay.
you are in a process and getting disconnected, it is something very normal. But at times it hits the people real bad. They feel as if they are, they think that unka direction change ho gaya. Now they're headed to somewhere else. And because they feel so,
Right.
they lose the track. What
Right.
would you advise them?
Well, one big understanding for me is that whatever is happening or has happened or is going to happen is exactly what's meant to happen at that point. It's exactly what's going to take you forward, be it a negative experience, a downfall, or a big success, or a lot of happiness, whatever it is, the whole idea of spirituality is to be aware of, for me, it is to be aware of what is this teaching me, what is, if I'm not being able to follow the routines of spirituality that I did, or, if I was doing a certain process, I'm not able to do it right now because of a downfall, or, I'm going through a grief, depression, acknowledge it. Acknowledge that this is happening, but give yourself time and have faith that it's going to bring out something which will benefit you, going forward. And a lot of times it's when you look back, you understand what that phase was all about, connecting the dots, and it's a lot of times looking back and reflecting upon it. But at this point, at this moment, what you need to have is a lot of faith, a faith in the process, and faith that good times and bad times both are a part of life. It's never going to be that you will only have good things happen to you if you follow a certain process or a certain routine. That is not what is spirituality is all about. Like I said, my definition of spirituality is swinging back and forth and then falling back to the center. It's almost like a story of, how I swung all the way to the right and what made me come back to the center again. So it's understanding that story and understanding the process and understanding what took you away and what brought you back to your center, and you learn a lot from that. You learn and you benefit a lot from that. And sometimes, you become an instrument for others to get inspired from. So it's a lot to think when you are not feeling so well mentally, to be honest. These are all things that are easy said than done. And ultimately, I also believe that there is a grace that operates above you that determines how you pass through a phase. So it's a mix of a lot of those things. But ultimately, I think, if you come out of it, your best bet would be to reflect on it and see what you gained from it, rather than seeing it as a negative experience.
Perfect. The moment you said swinging back and forth, I am a spiritual person myself. And just a few days back, Doer Das, he was in Words with a lot of people. What he said was so beautiful. He said, you're not some god. We don't have that aura around us that we are sitting and we go thoughtless in a moment. It won't happen. We have so much to take care of. We have so much to think about. So it won't happen.
Right.
What he said was, you'll sit, you'll close your eyes, you'll have everything running inside your head. Sab kuch aayega dimag mein.
Right.
What you have to do is, you just have to take it, accept it, release it, and then come back to your meditativeness. It's actually all about the same thing that you said, swinging back and forth. You have the ups, you have the downs, you just have to accept all of it and come back to the basic.
I'm a big fan of Doer Das, and I'm so glad that he said what he said.
Anyway, it's about making peace with whatever it is around you, whatever you are right now, whatever the moment has for you. It's just about accepting all of it. Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Also, it can be a little, I would say, out of the league question, but spirituality is absolutely a blind game today. Every other person is a spiritual guru in himself or herself.
Okay.
Yes. And I might sound a little controversial, but again, until and unless you have known enough to ease yourself, you cannot be called a guru, at least a spiritual guru. And every second person I see is preaching. Is that preaching okay?
First of all, I think I would have to tell you what my definition of a guru is, right? I believe that depending on what stage you are in, for me, a guru was not just about a person coming in my life, right? It could be an experience coming in my life to teach me something. For me, that is also a guru. It could be a person who has nothing to do with me, but will have an interaction with me, or a conversation or anything, an experience with me that will teach me something that's pushing me to the next level. For me, that person is a guru. Or it could be a traditional form of guru, somebody who's wearing a saffron and saying something that resonates with me. For me, that is a guru. So this is my definition of a guru. But I also believe that as you progress and as you are going much higher and higher, you probably meet someone at that level who can take you to the topmost, and I think for that you need, in our mundane words, like a professional who can do that for you.
True. Like someone who can, who can direct us, who can give us a direction.
Yes, because it gets very subtle as you go up, as you start going more and more up, it reaches a point where I don't think a normal human being can navigate on their own. You need someone who has that kind of knowledge.
Exactly.
So when you talk about a spiritual guru, and I think you are pointing towards people who are abusing their knowledge or just faking it.
Exactly.
I think that's who you're talking about. So my take on it is the responsibility is not on the person who's teaching. Responsibility is on the person who's seeking. So when you are thrown with anything on you, you always have an opportunity to self-reflect, to synthesize what you get from outside within and see what you need to take from it. So when you believe in that process and when you believe in your own self-reflection, then that will take away a lot of harmness that comes your way, and even if at some point you fall in for something that was harmful, and you had to experience it, even then you will learn something from it when you come out of it.
True.
So I like I said, I'm always a believer of what it is meant to be. So if you are falling in hands of a fake guru or this is my understanding, after reading a lot of stuff, that for you to even be an influencer on a spiritual realm, you are having certain knowledge within you, and when you gain a certain type of spiritual knowledge, it gives you power. It gives you like intuitive powers and all that, and that's a stage where you have a choice to either use it or misuse it.
Yes.
And unfortunately, a lot of spiritual gurus that have gone wrong ended up misusing it because it's a power that gives you a high, and people follow those channels and they forget what they were there for in the beginning. But even in that forgetfulness, I say there is a purpose. So it's all about going through it. Yeah, it has a purpose. You are going through because it's meant to take you somewhere. So the fear of fake gurus or going through the wrong path, everything, I think it just is taking away the peace from your present, rather than marching forward confidently, believing in yourself, believing in your own process, in your own self-reflection, taking what comes your way, and then just going forward. So then all these fake gurus won't scare you as much.
True. Actually, I mean,
Hmm.
I have my faith in that a guru chooses the disciple. It's not the disciple who goes to the guru, it's the guru who comes to the disciple. It's always
Right,
like
right.
that. Yes. Now,
Right.
ma'am, when you have written the book, you must have faced your part of the struggle getting it published, getting it edited, the proofreading and everything. How was it for you?
Well, it was a lot of new things coming my way, right? Because I've never written a book, like I said, never published it.
Hmm.
On a personal front, I had, I was expecting my baby, so there was a lot of those things going on.
Hmm.
So it was helpful in, that everything is digitalized these days. So, I didn't have to be in person for anything.
Hmm.
Everything could be done online. The most intensive process was, I guess, going with the publisher, because there were a couple of publishers who liked the manuscript. So then how
Hmm.
do you choose, And I feel like I didn't have enough tools or enough judgments
Hmm.
to know who is the best. So I just ultimately went with the one who had first approached me.
Okay.
So that's literally what I did. And then it's pretty much, communication between your publisher and yourself.
Hmm.
They walk you through the steps of publishing, and you have an understanding, you have a room for question and answers. If there is anything you don't like in the process, you
Hmm.
can bring it up to them. And editing, so my understanding of editing was that the publishers wholly and solely take care of editing.
Hmm.
But I do understand now that if it's your book,
Hmm.
it's totally your responsibility to take care of the editing. And then the publisher is like a second eye on a work
Hmm.
that you've
Hmm.
already done. So I would advise any new writers to make sure, before it goes to the final process, that
Hmm.
you make sure everything is exactly the way you want it. So don't take that for granted. That's a lesson learned in this whole process.
That's so true said. I mean, something that we might have written with the mindset that it is important, it needs to be there in my book,
Right.
may not sound of any significance to the editor.
Yes. Yes.
So
So yeah.
one's own responsibility to go through the book and
Yes.
take care of it.
Exactly. So that's a big lesson learned here.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't know if you are somebody who's looking at it from a business aspect.
Hmm.
It's a journey that takes time, so
Hmm.
it can make you impatient, because publishing doesn't happen like 1, 2, 3.
Exactly.
It
Huh.
almost took a year.
Hmm.
So, but I was very much occupied with the new baby and all that, so I was not even thinking about the
Publishing
publishing
part.
part. So when it happened, I was surprised and I was very happy, that
Huh.
my book was published.
Okay.
So, but it was pretty easy process, I would say, with everything being so well established in today's world.
Oh, anyway, you have to be patient and have faith. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So also, are you into reading the reviews that come in?
I do, yes. Oh my God, they excite me so much,
Okay.
I get very excited with reviews, yes.
So any that hit you the best?
There's so many, but there was a recent one.
Huh.
I can give you her handle. It's on Instagram,
Hmm.
Stay or Fickle, and she was the sweetest reviewer. And
Okay.
it's always very rewarding if they write you a review and then they say or they tell you how what you've written is helping them in something that they're going through right now.
Wow.
There's nothing like that. So that's been a very, very sweet review.
Beautiful.
There has been another one that came from an advocate from Delhi University.
Okay.
He's so impressive. He has command over the language, and he brought some really good points for me to work on,
Hmm.
in case I decide to write a second book.
Okay.
So that's one of my other favorites, because he was not just saying the good things, but he was also trying to help me work better, and there's nothing like that to get a good critique and, who can help you,
True.
make you a better version of yourself. So, these two stand out, but there have been so many in between who, especially when they share their personal resonance with what I've written, it's very rewarding. So, yes.
Well, we wish you to have the reviews coming in. And thank you so much for the conversation, ma'am. It was really beautiful conversing with you.
Oh, same here, Akshita. I know that you are a spiritual person yourself, so it's always great to have these conversations. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, it was resonating. Yes, we were on the same frequency.
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you
so much for being on the show. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.